So now that we've gone through the mission, we've talked a bit about the flight plan, let's talk about the actual launch, getting off the ground and into the clouds. So communication is critical, as you can imagine. There's a communication plan that needs to be part of your upfront planning, and that communication plan doesn't just need to talk to or understand whether I'm sending out emails or whether I'm putting posters on walls, but it really should be very strategic in nature. The more you can really think about your consumers and who you're communicating to, the more strategic and impactful that communication plan will be. There's a great graphic that I love when you sort of look at your different owners, right? If you think of, for example, a y-axis that has power on it, an x-axis that has information on it, or interest on it, rather said. So you have power on the y-axis, interest on the x-axis. The individuals in your organization, for example, that are either low power or have little interest are individuals that you want to monitor, and you're going to spend minimal effort in, but you want to make sure that at least you have a handle on where they are and how they're embracing this type of movement. The individuals that, for example, are high in power but have a little interest are the ones that you want to keep informed. The individuals that are high in interest but low in power are the ones that you want to keep satisfied, and those that are high in power and high in interest are the ones that you really want to manage closely. If you think about that four-box quadrant and you think about all of your stakeholders and constituents and put names in boxes, that type of strategic sort of view of the world and thinking of how to put your communication plan will make a huge difference, not only in the vehicles that you choose to use for your communication methods, whether that's email, phone calls, meetings, demos, but also in the frequency of how you communicate to them, and obviously who those individuals are. Understanding scope and business needs, this is critical. Hopefully, as you've gone through that scoping exercise and built that roadmap, you've also been able to collaborate with your C-level executives and your stakeholders to understand what's important to them and what's driving some of those decisions around timing and functionality. Certainly don't underestimate internal resourcing needs. A good deployment partner should be able to give you an appreciation for the different types of people that you need to bring to the table, and certainly their resource and time commitments for that type of rollout. And evaluating timing is also important, right? When is the best time for your organization? Once again, looking at that roadmap type vision of business events and other activities that are going on, and how you can really be very thoughtful around the project plan and the way that the rollout needs to occur. A good example I can give you is we have a number of financial services clients, so that we know when we're talking to them about their rollout and their planning structure, the second they go into October into comp mode, they go dark. So in those project plans and in those timings, we have some honest discussions around how we need to accommodate that project plan and those cycles that they're going to spend a lot of time and effort in and are really going to sort of suck that project team away from us. And as a result, we just need to plan accordingly for. Continuing on the theme of launch, big bang versus phased approach. Big bang in a Workday deployment can mean different things, especially if you're looking at this from a full platform perspective. Since there is such a large product footprint, I always say that you can look at phasing versus big bang on sort of two primary categories or areas: the functionality that you're choosing to roll out and the people that you're choosing to impact. And the mapping of both of those is something that you should certainly build into your roadmap and think about as you're actually doing your deployments. But one of the things that you want to always think about as you're looking at whether you want to go a little bit more aggressive with the rollout from a functionality perspective or whether you want to phase things out is what your organization can actually consume. One of the best quotes that I heard is, God, I want to say about 10 years ago, I was doing an implementation with Cisco Systems, and their CIO, Brad Boston, said something that always resonated with me. He basically said that his organization has more ideas than they can implement, and they can implement more ideas than the business can absorb. So thinking about that type of dynamic and who your end audience is and how much change they can actually embrace and value should be an absolute factor in the type of decision that you make as you define that roadmap and sort of answer that question of big bang versus phased and what that means to you as an organization. Process reengineering is something that typically happens and should ideally be part of one of the things that you're going to want to achieve with this type of movement to the cloud. Simplifying operations, standardizing operations, involving process stakeholders, but really taking advantage of the solution itself to provide you those types of guardrails and direction around how you can leverage the solution, but do so in a very prescriptive manner. And that decision process changes quickly with a solution like Workday that will provide some of those guardrails and direction for you so that you can accommodate those, but at the same time think about where the fit gap situation is in relation to the way that you run your business. Data conversion is a big part of these projects as well. So when you're launching the project, always start putting together sort of a data strategy. Understand where your information is today, whether that's legacy systems, payroll systems, offline access databases, Excel, you name it. Think about the state of that data. Think about who actually has the skill set and the capability to be able to extract and pull that data and scrub it as necessary so that we can effectively migrate that into the Workday system. You will, through the course of this methodology and implementation, have the opportunity to do multiple data pulls, and as a result get better at actually continuing to understand your current data state and what that actually needs to be, how it needs to be adjusted to support this type of migration. But data is absolutely something that you want to pay attention to early and make sure it's part of the plan. Speaking of plan, planning is important, so you need to make sure you're planning the project from inception to your go-live, but also beyond. Start thinking about your post-go-live support needs, if any, and certainly continue to look at that roadmap that we talked about a couple of slides earlier and what that means from a plan and timing perspective, or even from a people perspective when it comes to team members and whether they roll off of the project or they continue to stay engaged for some of those phase 2, phase 3 activities. So how do you orchestrate all of this with real good quality and scope control and governance? It's through project governance. And what you see here is a real nice graphic that represents a nice structure that you're going to want to put into place as you're doing this type of deployment. Executive steering committees are critical. Organizations sometimes will also have a project sponsorship level. Depending upon the size and the stakeholders in your organization, those may actually merge into one. Some organizations are large enough where those are two disparate groups and have different cadences around the meetings and the type of information that's presented to them. Project management office is critical, and that'll be a combination of you as a customer providing a project manager and governance, as well as your implementation partner providing an engagement or project manager to help partner and drive the success of that project. And then you start to look at the different workstream leads, for example, the functional workstream leads, the technical teams, the operating model workstreams, and absolutely change management and communications as well. All of these being critical project leads that have to certainly have a strong stake in the project and participation and help to drive all of the different areas of the deployment, such as payroll, benefits, absence, time tracking, procurement, you name it. Everyone sort of has to have clear line of sight and roles and responsibilities and ownership around those particular areas. And then finally, what I sort of call the extended team, your deployment SME, stakeholders, affiliates. A lot of times this could be very global in nature as well. And these are the individuals that will come in and out of the project and flex to support either design support and assistance, or for that matter, testing support and validation of the solution.